It is the king of the family, if you like. This fragrance really does pack a punch, and we're going to get into that shortly. It's so different. Just the punch of it jumps at you. When I put this fragrance on, it actually does make me feel more confident. It makes me feel more up for it. But the reality is, are they worth it? Welcome back, friends, and you join me from the terrace here today to do a fantastic fragrance review of two of my very, very favorite fragrances in my entire collection. I've got over 100 fragrances in my collection. These two, well, you'll see when I show you the bottles, they're actually quite depleted, these bottles. I keep coming back to them. So there's a reason for that. I want to share them both with you. I think you're going to enjoy this. And welcome back to the channel. My name's Brendan, and I talk about all things watches and fragrances and collectibles and all that cool stuff. And today I'm wearing my Baltic chronograph. I don't know if you can get a good glimpse at that. It's a micro brand, let's say, but it's a fantastic watch that I think wears so elegantly. And you can't see it here, but the exposed case back in this manual wind movement really is beautiful and very, very affordable as well. I think it cost around about £500 or £600. Got it from the London boutique near Oxford Street. Definitely take a look at Baltic watches. So the two fragrances that I'd like to talk to you about today and share with you are Creed Green Irish Tweed and Roja Parfums Apex. And the reason I put these two together is because they're both predominantly green fragrances. So let's get into this review. So here are the two fragrances in question. Beautiful bottles, brilliant presentation from both brands. And I love both these brands, frankly. Maybe because they're English, but probably because they make really great fragrances. Creed was, like most people, one of the first brands I came across when I got into more specialist niche perfumery and fragrances, maybe through the gateway of Aventus. Tell you that story another time. And then Roja was one of those fragrances that I kept on seeing when I went to Selfridges in Manchester for business. I went to Manchester and then had a bit of time to myself and went to Selfridges from time to time and kept seeing this logo, this Roja, and these mystical bottles, Elysium and Danger and Scandal, and kind of looking at them thinking, they look really, really intriguing. Having a taste, a smell of them, testing them, and over time, they became a big part of my collection. And I would say Roja Parfums is probably my #1 brand in my collection, alongside maybe Xerjoff and one or two others, but definitely up there. And this fragrance really does pack a punch, and we're going to get into that shortly. Don't forget, if you like your fragrances and if you like this kind of stuff and this content, make sure you subscribe now to the channel. It really means a lot. It helps YouTube to serve you the best content, and it helps to keep me going and keep creating this stuff for you as well. So let's start this review with Green Irish Tweed, because it's a fragrance that a lot of you will potentially know, maybe you will own, and if you haven't yet sampled it, you definitely should, but it's probably something that you're interested in or you want to get in your collection eventually. So let's get a little tester out here of my pack, and I'll get one ready for Apex as well. And let's spray it on the card and see what we get with it. So, well, the first thing is just an overwhelming freshness with this fragrance, and that green, that really pleasant green. It is stunning. There's a smoothness to it, almost a creaminess to this that just really, really delivers. And I'm going to spray it on my skin here as well, just to give that experience, because you have to go skin to get the full fragrance and how it performs on you, of course. So it's just drying down. Again, just overwhelming freshness, green, smooth, citrus, really delivers, and it does perform. So I'll come back in a second when I've had maybe half an hour after wearing this fragrance to give you a little bit more of that dry down. So Creed's Green Irish Tweed probably is the most recognized, maybe the most famous green fragrance. It is the king of the family, if you like, or it's often the way in to the family. It's like the gateway into the family, and absolutely rightly so, because it is a top fragrance. I think there's a place for this in most men's collections. It's super mass appealing, and when I smell that now drying down, it's just something that you almost want this fragrance around you. It really like wraps you up in that just super fresh, super clean. But the citruses go from the top notes and come back further into more of those mid-heart notes. And there's not a lot of information on Creed's website about the notes, but what you're getting, I'm getting like that more of a kind of woody effect and that powdery element to it. I think Fragrantica talks about there being iris in this as well. I kind of get that, but for me, it's that powderiness and that fresh green grass effect. It's like freshly cut grass, but in such a classy way. And you can't see because the bottle is black, but this is almost finished. I can hear bits and pieces in here, but I'm going to be quickly looking for a new bottle of Green Irish Tweed pretty soon, I think, because I go through it. I normally only buy 50ml bottles because I've got so many fragrances. I never go through the 50s, but I can feel this one is getting lower and lower and lower. I'm going to have to reinvest in a new bottle of Green Irish Tweed very soon, I think. So let's move into Roja Parfums Apex. So this is a fairly recent release, maybe a couple of years now, and they released the Eau de Parfum, or the Parfum Cologne as they call it, and they released the Parfum. And I do have experience with the Parfum as well. I'll talk to you about that in a second, but let's go with this one here and spray it on card to begin with. So, it's so different. It's such a beautiful fragrance. What I'm getting straight away with this fragrance is just the punch of it. It jumps at you, this fragrance, where Green Irish Tweed is more of a refined, smoother, mildly more subdued green focused fragrance. This is an animal. This has got more of a masculine side to it, I want to say. It's like, if you think about going out on a date, it's somebody that likes to chill out and go to the cinema versus somebody that likes to go big, let's say. But I don't mean in a kind of dancing all night. I just mean it's much more of a statement piece. It's much more of a stronger, bolder green fragrance. So let's try it on skin and compare the two and let these figure themselves out. But what you get with this, and I don't know if you can see that, I'm pretty far down. I spray this liberally. I spray all my fragrances really liberally. When I put this fragrance on, it actually does make me feel more confident. It makes me feel more up for it. It is that kind of olfactive drug that gets into your head and literally makes you think like, I'm on it, let's go, let's have a great day. I'm that person, and that's what fragrances have the ability to do, isn't it? But I can tell you now, when I wear this, I wear it a lot, and I think it's really good for summer and spring and autumn. I think in the winter, less so, but only because other fragrances will take the decision. They will win on that decision of every day, which fragrance should I wear? I think you could wear this in the winter. I think it could be, for some men, a signature scent, for sure. But when I compare Apex now with Green Irish Tweed, it's just so much more punchy, the Apex. It's so much greener, more naturally green. It makes you feel like there's like really real natural green ingredients in this. Don't ask me what they are, that's not my game. I just know how it makes me feel. So Roja Apex is definitely more of a patchouli-led, more woody, fresher, but earthier fragrance. And they describe the difference between, say, Apex and Elysium, whereas Elysium is more about the air and fresh ingredients in the air. This is more about the ground and the earth. And I completely get that analogy. I think that's absolutely bang on. It's like sweeter, but in my opinion, better version of Frederick Miles' Synthetic Jungle. That to me is really that's almost underground, whereas Apex is like on the ground, growing, blossoming, and then Elysium is in the air. I think that's probably kind of a good analogy of those three fragrances. And you get performance literally all day on this. For me, Apex performs far, far better than Creed Green Irish Tweed. On my skin for sure. When I spray this, 2 or 3 sprays in the morning, my wife will literally be like, oh my God, you wear an Apex. She knows what it is. It's not her favorite fragrance, but for me, it could be the #1 fragrance in my entire fragrance collection. There are times when it definitely feels like that. Whereas the Creed is more of a refined boardroom. You could definitely wear this at work. I think if you walked into the office with Apex on, sprayed liberally, people are going to be like, whoa, what is going on here? You are going to fill that room. Whereas with the Creed, you're not. It's not got the same sillage that Apex has. It really projects Apex. If you want that, definitely go with the Apex. I don't think this is about which is best. Is it Creed or is it Apex? I think they are both world-class fragrances. Both have a place in a collection, no doubt about it. I've got both. And if you like that fresh fragrance, but you don't necessarily want citrus all the time, then both of them have their play. I really think the green fragrance family is a little bit neglected. Everybody reaches for citruses, everybody reaches for ouds, maybe rose, maybe woods, but don't often reach for that fresh green. And maybe that's because some of the greens are associated with old school fragrances, maybe like Cool Water or something like that. And Cool Water and Creed Green Irish Tweed are related. Green Irish Tweed was perfumed by Pierre Bourdon, I think it was 1985, and then Cool Water came out afterwards, maybe early 90s, and literally the rest is history. Everybody bought Cool Water, myself included. I do get Cool Water vibes, but it's a totally different level. This is a high quality. You can't really get a better quality green fragrance than this. And then the Roja, absolutely top end fragrance. Now, they do have a parfum edition of this. So this is the Parfum Cologne and ultimately an eau de parfum. And the parfum version of this is very different, much spicier. When I first sprayed the parfum version of Apex, I didn't particularly like it. I thought it was too heavy, too spicy. And now I do. I've got a sample in the house, but I don't think it wins. I think this one is a better version for me. It's just that little bit lighter, and what it does is it unlocks the freshness of the fragrance in a way that the parfum doesn't. And I don't think there's much to pick in terms of performance. I've sprayed both on the other wrist, so I can compare and contrast. And I actually have seen better performance in this versus the parfum version. Strange as it sounds, maybe that's just my skin, but it's the way that it gets into your system, this fragrance. It's like a wake-up call. You spray this, I defy anybody to go from a lethargic state, spray this and not be immediately uplifted. I think it definitely has that ability, this. It really can change your state, this fragrance. So let's compare dry downs on both of these fragrances. So if we take the Creed first, so that is now just a very beautiful, smooth, green, aromatic, almost slightly ambery fragrance now. You could smell that all day and be very happy. If that was around you all day, that would absolutely be a very pleasant day. Just can't get enough of that fragrance. It's definitely losing some of its power. already in that first sort of 20-30 minutes. That top notes impact is gone, but the mid heart notes, they're so lovely in this. It's not a bad deal. Right, let's have a look at the Apex. Wow, that's still so impactful on the skin. The spices are definitely coming through now. It's strong, like you wouldn't want to overspray the Apex for sure. I've gone out and I've sprayed like 8 or 10 or even 12 sprays of that because I love this fragrance so much. And I'm kind of thinking now, what have I put people through on the pavement that are walking down with me, or in the office, or my wife or the kids? But it's such a beautiful fragrance. It's just such a strong, impactful, bold, but classy fragrance. Do you know what it reminds me of? It's like going on holiday to a 5-star resort that's in sort of like a jungle area, but it's luxurious, it's rich, you've got everything there that you could ever need, and they've just kind of cultivated this fragrance smell around you. That is not going away for a long time. That is an absolutely belting beast mode green fragrance. Yes, just give me more of this stuff for sure. Now, both of these fragrances come in at a fairly hefty price point because Roja's fragrances are quite expensive. They use incredibly good natural ingredients. They perform incredibly well as a result. Creed's too, I'm sure. But the reality is, are they worth it? Now, this one, I think, is around about £200 for the 50ml. And when you look at the way niche perfumery has gone in the last, say, 5 years, I actually think that's kind of where it should be. I wouldn't want it going up and up and up further than that. There'd have to be a reason that it needs to be like an extrait version or another version of it that's stronger in some way. This one, I think, comes in, they don't do a 50ml. I think that the 100ml is around about £300, something like that. They do occasionally run sales. Notino in Spain, where I live, has regularly had sales on this, and it's put it down to about £220 for 100. But generally speaking, it's around that £300 mark for the Apex, and similar for the 100ml version, although you can get the 50ml version as I did. So the bottom line is this: are they worth it? If you're paying roughly £300 for 100ml of each fragrance, is it worth it? Well, for me, absolutely it's worth it, because the quality of both of these fragrances is there. With the Apex, you've got that fresh projection, that really take on the day type of fragrance, and with the Green Irish Tweed, you've got that utter elegance and class and smoothness that is genuinely hard to find. And fundamentally, they are expensive for a reason. I get that there's branding involved, there's marketing involved, but everything goes in to making your experience elevated. And if you were going to pay 30 quid for this, you would not feel the same in this fragrance. I definitely think both of these are absolutely worth their investment. So much so that I'm going to get another bottle of each of them. I'm pretty low on both of them. I'm waiting for a good deal to come along on each of these, and I will pick one new bottle up. So what's next on the fragrance journey in the Roja brand and in the Creed brand? Well, on the Roja side, I am absolutely gunning for a number of their fragrances. Isola Blue is on the list, I love that fragrance. Burlington 1819 is on the list, I absolutely love that fragrance as well. I love the Della Nuit collection. I don't own it, I definitely want to acquire one of those fragrances. And Amber Oud is definitely in there. That's such a stunning fragrance. But I already have a very solid Roja collection. I'll probably do another review on those in the coming weeks. Make sure you subscribe for that if you want to see that kind of content too. But those are my immediates with Roja. On the Creed side, I've got a relatively good Creed collection. Virgin Island water is one. I don't have much of a coconut type of tropical fragrance in my collection. I do like Virgin Island water. And I also really like Himalaya. I think that's a great fragrance that I don't own. Creed Viking is very, very tempting. I've nearly come close to pulling the trigger on that one multiple times. The reason I haven't, I honestly can't say. I think I've just got a number in that aromatic fougere category that Viking doesn't get the nod because it's just not different enough. World-class fragrance, absolutely, but maybe not quite for me right now. Which of these will you choose? Well, first and foremost, I would say you could absolutely have both. If you're looking at Green Irish Tweed, go and smell Apex for sure. If you're at that type of investment level, then Apex needs to be considered. It really will depend on what you want to use this fragrance for. If you want to wear it for going out, if you want to wear it in the summer on your holidays, it could be an Apex. If you want to wear it as a daily, every day, it could absolutely be a Green Irish Tweed. They both have their place. I would say they are both 10 out of 10 fragrance masterpieces from two of the very, very best brands out there. So that pretty much wraps up this video, guys. I appreciate your time, I appreciate your attention. I love sharing this with you, but definitely leave me a comment if you've got fragrances that you think would be complementary to Apex and Creed, if you've got ideas for the channel, if you've got things that you would like to see me cover that I haven't yet covered, then definitely leave me a comment and I'll do my very best to cover them. And if you like this stuff, make sure you subscribe to the channel. YouTube will help you to find this easily, and it's really important for the algorithm for other people too. I'd appreciate that, it really means a lot. And make sure you give me a follow on TikTok and Instagram. I'm doing daily content, just insights into watch collecting and fragrances and that kind of stuff on both of those channels. So pick your platform or do both and subscribe to that as well. And thanks again for watching as always, and I will see you again in another video very soon.